First, I will introduce myself. Myself N. Akila, working as an assistant professor in Department of Biomedical Engineering in Erode Secondary Engineering College. So today we are going to see about the topic of 1M2M architecture. The 1M2M IoT standardized architecture, the challenges of and requirement of IoT system have driven a whole new discipline of network architecture. In the past several years, architecture standardized and frameworks have emerged to address the challenges of designing massive scale of IoT network. In effort to standardize the rapidly growing field of machine-to-machine communication, the European Telecommunication Standard Institutes created the M2M technical community in 2008. The goal of the community was create a common architecture that would help accelerate the adoption of M2M applications and devices. Over the time, scopes has expanded to include the Internet of Things. Recognizing this need, in 2012, ETSI and 13 other foundation members launched on 1M2M architecture. The 1M2M architecture divides IoT function into three major domains: the application layer, the services layer, and the network layer. While this architecture may seem simple and somewhat generic at first glance, it is very rich and promotes interoperability through IT-friendly APIs and support a wide range of Internet of Things technologies. Let's explain each of this domain into turn. Application layer. The 1M2M architecture gives major attention to connectivity between devices and their applications. This domain includes the application layer protocol and attempts to standardized northbound API definition for interaction with business intelligence BI system. Application tends to be industry specific and have their own sets of data models, and thus they are shown as vertical entities. Next one, service layer. This layer is shown as horizontal framework across the vertical industry applications. At this layer, horizontal models includes the physical network that the Internet of Things applications run on, the underlying management protocols, and the hardware. Example includes backhaul communication via cellular, MPLS, multi-protocol label switching, networks, VPNs, and so on. Riding on top it is common service layer. This is concept layer adds APIs and middleware supporting third-party services and applications. Next one, network layer. This is the communication domain for IoT devices and endpoints. It includes the devices themselves and communication network that links them, embodiment and of the communication infrastructure includes wireless mesh technology and wireless point to multi-point system. In many cases, the smart and sometimes not too smart devices communicate with each other. In other cases, machine-to-machine communication is not necessary, and the devices communicate through a field area network. This is called FAN. To use cases specific apps in the IoT application domain. Therefore, the device domain also includes the gateway device, which provides communication up into the core network and act as a demarcation point between the device and network domain. 1M2M architecture. 1M2M architecture is a global partnership project founded in 2012 and constituted by eight of the world leading ICT standardized development organization, notably ARIB Japan, ATIS United States, CCSA China, ETSI Europe, TIA USA, TSDSI India, TTA Korea, and TTC Japan. The goal of the organization is to create a global technical standard for interoperability concerning the architecture. API specifications, security and enrollment solution for machine to machine and IoT technologies based on requirement contributed by its members. The standardized specification produced by 1M2M enable an ecosystem to support a wide range of applications and services such as a smart city, smart bridge, connected car, home automation, public safety, and health. 1M2M technology is removing fragmentation in the IoT world because it is independent of the connectivity or protocol technology that is used for transport. It is designed to be a long-term solution for IoT deployment. 1M2M architecture's basics. 1M2M architecture is similar to a distributed operating system for the Internet of Things. It takes the forms of a middleware service layer consisting of a suite of common service function CSFS. The middleware service layer sits between applications and connectivity transport. 1M2M common service function are exposed to application and to the IoT devices via results. 1M2M architecture service layer and or other applications can reside in field devices and sensors on gateways in back end or cloud applications. This support cooperative intelligence in distributed IoT system. This section covers the three topics: service layers, data management, horizontal platform. Before we seeing service layer is fully formed in 1M2M architecture. So explanation of the service layer: 1M2M service layer is typically implemented as software layer. It sits between IoT applications and processing or communication hardware corresponding to the connectivity layer. Data storage, processing and transport in the connectivity layer normally ridged on top of IP. However, 1M2M also supports non-IP transport via interworking props. The 1M2M service layer produced commonly needed function for IoT applications. To data, 1M2M specification covers 14 such as functions. Developer can use this function progressively for their applications, beginning with the most frequently required ones such as devices management, registration, and security. More complex application can incorporate features to support systematic interoperability and location service. For example, 1M2M architecture follow a molecular standardization roadmap. This allows for future IoT requirement and new common service functions. Next one, functional architecture. 1M2M standardized compress a horizontal architecture in the form of three-layer model compressing application, middleware service, and networks. Application entities are host on nodes enterprise service device. These nodes may be virtualized or physical instance. AE communicate with each other by sending requests to a common service entity that in turn routes the request to the target AE while providing services based on the request. CSE are hosted on virtualized or physical nodes, and AE and CSE can share some nodes. Organization membership. A 1M2M architecture member is any legal entity which has an interest in the development or implementation of 1M2M architecture technical specifications and technical reports. 1M2M architecture members must be member of 1M2M architecture. ARIB Japan, ATIS US, CCSA China, ETSI Europe, TIA US, TSDSI India, TTA Korea, TTC Japan. IoT network of networks, loose collection of disparate purpose build networks, building, heating system, venting system, lighting, telephony. Members can attend and participate in the 1M2M technical plenary meeting and its working group where they have one vote each. They can also attend the 1M2M string community committee meeting but not have voting right. 1M2M currently have more than 200 participating partners and members among the main actors of the ICT industry, like for instance Nokia, AT&T, BT Groups, Samsung, Telecom Italia, IBA, Dakshak Telecom, SK Telecom, Cisco, Orange, QLCom, Inter Digital, Intel, Hawaii, LG, Plus, KDDI, etc. Benefits of 1M2M architecture. We are excited by your interest in 1M2M architecture, the global IoT standard. Here we explain 1M2M architecture value proposition in commercial and technical terms. The IoT standard for interoperable and scalable system. In 2012, 8 national standardization bodies launched the 1M2M partnership project. This this address new requirement to support interoperable and scalable IoT solution. 1M2M promotes a global standard in contrast to national variants or proprietary approaches. 1M2M architectures bring together all components in the IoT solution stacks. It's avoid revolution in favor of refusing existing technology, components and standards. 1M2M architecture define a common middleware technology in a horizontal layer between devices and communications networks and IoT applications. This standardized link between connected devices, gates, communication network and cloud infrastructures. It allows developer to mix and match components from different vendors. 1M2M architecture is a general purpose standard that applies to all industry verticals. This ensures a high degree of reuse. It also means that vertical application can interoperate with one another. This ability to work across applications solves adds significance, value, and promotes innovations. One M2M architecture's values proportions. All IoT solutions are streamed by from several components. This includes connected devices, IoT platforms, analytical tools, visualization dashboards, and software applications. There is a significant cost in finding, selecting, and integrating these components. An added complications is to choose between components from different vendors when assembling solution on a use case by use case basics. This is where a standardized framework to integrate different components is so valuable. It also developers to source components from different suppliers and to reuse implementation methodologies. Developers can also manage their risk exposure to vendor solutions. One M2M's architecture standardized allows any IoT application to discover and interact with any IoT devices. Now, IoT solutions can interoperate across boundaries. This is ideal from distributed and cooperative solutions in areas such as smart buildings, smart cities, and intelligence factories. One M2M architecture standards reduced fragmentation, increases reusability, and improve the cost basis through the economics of scale. IoT platforms provide the guide to join different IoT components and technologies. However, businesses face significant challenges in developing their own IoT platform or choosing a commercial one. Which one of the many hundreds of IoT platform is marketplace? It is right one. Get is wrong and switching cost can be high to replace devices in the field or to migrate IoT data from one platform to another. Platform users also become reliant on their provider technology roadmaps and innovation capabilities. How many providers will commit to evaluate their platform capabilities and addresses their growing scope of new IoT requirement? The One M2M architecture partnership project approaches IoT standardization through an open and collaborative process, drawing a one wide international pool of expertise to reduce this risk. This approaches also increases the potential for innovation and to reveal new application opportunities. User and solution provider reports many different reasons from adopting one M2M architecture. The multiple stage project without locking into the single technology or vendor from the outside. Organizations seeking to collaborate across commercial and departmental boundaries can draw on a standardized set of one M2M tools to collect and share IoT data in a controlled manner. When it is comes to future proofing system, one M2M is also called as the future proofing system. One M2M architecture standardization roadmap and its regular cycle of new release integrate new functionality within a coherent framework. This provides valuable confidence and allows user to evaluate the solution over time. Technical overview. Service layer for multi-vendor interoperability. uh, the architecture standardized by one M2M defines an IoT service layer. Example of a vendor independent software middleware between processing and communication hardware and IoT applications, providing a set of functions commonly needed by IoT applications. The one M2M service layer provides as cases independence functions. One M2M architecture's common service layer function provides proper identification of user and applications, authentication and authorizations of users and applications, end-to-end data encryption, remote provisions and service actions, device management, connectivity setups, and data transmission scheduling, data aggregation and buffering in case of missing connectivities, and synchronization up to connectivity re-establishment. Regional development. South Korea is one of the leading market for solution based on the one M2M standardized architecture. South Korea National IoT Master Plan makes exhibit a reference to one M2M architecture as a strategic enable for IoT applications and companies developing IoT solutions. Releases 1 was issued in February 2015. It provided a standardized general purpose horizontal architecture for IoT platform operators and service providers to deploy IoT solutions. One M2M architecture adoption and user experience. Many organizations around the world in different industries, sectors and deploying solution based on one M2M standards. Smart buildings, intelligent transports and smart regions and are among their early examples, such as multi-user and multi-purpose environments where many devices and organization coexistive are ideally suited to one M2M architecture. Find out more via our development trackers, executive interviews and news stories. One M2M architecture implementation guidance. The following resources provide information about one M2M standards and implementation tools. They are organized by reference to different user categories. One M2M standard library. Here is where you can access one M2M technical specifications across different releases cycles. Learn how to develop a one M2M architecture device or platform. One M2M architecture provides an introduction of guides and set of developer resources for users that wish to build one M2M devices to platform from one M2M specifications. Using one M2M architecture devices and platforms, here it where to access implementation guides, software tools and testing resources. If your organization wants to create IoT applications that use pre-built one M2M architecture components. Open source projects. One M2M architecture hosted by the Ellipse Foundation and parts of Ellipse IoT working groups offers a flexible one M2M based platform to implement horizontal M2M service gates and gateways and devices. It brings forward a modular architecture running on top of an OSGI containers, which is highly extensible via plug-ins. Ocean Open Alliance for IoT stands open sources implementation for one M2M service gateways or devices platform and applications are supported. Also, developer tools including platform resources, browser, self conformance testing tools are provided. Developer resources. One M2M tester is the world's first free open source conformance testing tools that developers can use to check the compliance of their platforms and applications with one M2M specifications. The one M2M tester is built upon Eclipse Titan, which is a free open source TTCN3 compliance and executions framework, also supporting Eclipse IDE. IoT DM, part of one Daylight project hosted by the Linguist Foundation, developing a one M2M based IoT data broker to enable authorized application to retrieve IoT data uploaded by any devices. OASIS as a part of open source architecture semantic IoT services platforms project, developing code for the one M2M based IoT severe platform. OpenMTC in an integration middleware based on the one M2M standard for concluding applied research and developing innovative M2M and IoT applications. It is horizontal services approach easily integrate devices from different industrial IoT verticals independent of the underlying hardware and network infrastructure. It is the global standardized innovative for machine to machine communication and the IoT, Internet of Things. The purpose and global of one M2M architecture are to develop technical specifications which addresses the need for a common M2M service layer that can be readily embedded within various hardware and software and relied upon the migrate of devices in the field with one M2M application services worldwide. A critical object of one M2M architecture is to attract and actively innovative organization from one M2M architecture related business domains such as telematic and intelligent transportations. Healthcare utilize industrial automation, smart home and others. One M2M architecture layered modern in M2M is standardized architecture in IoT. IoT in Action Dubai. The IoT concept is used to safeguard a network of 37 cranes and 5,000 workers near the world's tallest building in Dubai. Cranes that swing too close to one another are halted by an internet connected system. Dundee, Dundee Precious Metal, a Canadian-based international mining companies utilized Wi-Fi-enabled vehicles um, and above-ground uh, command centers to capture real-time data, resulting in cost saving of $2.5 million and production increases of 400%. Wearable devices to help track health data, communicate with doctor and other healthcare professionals directly. A band aid that indicates if a wound is healed. Skin path wireless blood glucose monitors and systems that sound and alert when it's time to refill your prescriptions. Thank you.